Rabbeinu Bachai makes a very important observation. He says there are certain parts of the Torah that are extraordinarily brief and certain parts that are very lengthy. He says, look at Parshas Noach. We have a very detailed description of the Teva. 300 amas long, 50 amas wide, 30 amas tall. Answer Rabbeinu Bachai, what in the world do we need to know that information? Why do we need to know the length, the dimensions, the depth? Why is it relevant to us thousands of years later? Explains Rabbeinu Bachai in the Chumash, he says, there's a tremendous lesson to us. You see, if you do the math, let's assume an amma is about 2 feet. 300 amas means it's about 600 feet long, maybe 100 feet wide, 60 feet tall. If you think of all the animals in creation, you'll quickly realize they couldn't possibly fit into a boat that small. The Bronx Zoo is on 265 acres, and they don't house all the animals in creation. Explains Rabbeinu Bachai that if you had 50 such tevas, and 50 such arks that couldn't possibly contain all the animals in creation, rather Noah was commanded to build something as much as he could. And then Rabbeinu Bachai says, and this is an operating principle in the Torah, he says throughout the Torah you'll see that a human being is commanded with doing as much as he can. And only when he's exhausted as much as he can possibly do, then he's allowed to be Somech al Hanes, relying on the miracle. Explains Rabbeinu Bachai, Hashem was saying to Noah, you have to build a teva. You can't just rely on miracles. You have to build a boat. Now, you can't possibly build a boat large enough to contain the rhinoceros, the elephants, the giraffes. You can't possibly build a boat big enough. Build as much as you can, and once you've exhausted the derech hateva, once you've used the ways of the world as much as you can, then you can rely on the miracle. But only once you've exhausted the derech hateva, once you've done as much as you can in the ways of the world, then you can rely on the miracle. And explains Rabbeinu Bachai that that's an operating principle that you'll find throughout Tanakh. Everywhere, over and over, man is commanded to use this world in the ways of the world, and only once he's exhausted his efforts, then he can rely on the miracle. He says, for instance, Yeshua was commanded to take the Jewish nation into Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael at the time was occupied by giants. Each of the cities was fortified. There were tremendous fortifications, and they knew that according to the ways of the world they couldn't possibly win, yet every battle was won miraculously. Every battle against huge, powerful armies, the enemies were destroyed and not a single Jewish soldier died. In one battle, when one Jewish soldier died, the question was, what happened? So it says Rabbeinu Bachai, so wait a minute. Why then did Yeshua command the Jews, sharpen your swords, put on your armor, get ready for battle? They knew anyway it had to be a miracle. They knew anyway they were going to win these wars with tremendous nisim. Explains Rabbeinu Bachai, because this is the principle. You have to do whatever you can in the ways of the world. Once you've exhausted that, then you can rely on the miracle, but not a moment before. They had to put on their armor, sharpen their swords, get ready for battle, because that's the ways of the world. And once you've done that, then you can rely on Hashem, but not a minute before. And the Chovos HaLevavos brings a phenomenal case of exactly this concept. He says, listen very carefully. Hashem says to Shmuel, Ma'asti, I'm disgusted with Shaul. I no longer want Shaul to be the king. I want you to go to Yishai. One of his sons will be the future king. Says Shmuel, Eich Elech. How can I go? V'shama Shaul, Shaul will hear, V'hargeni, and he'll kill me. Says Hashem back to Shmuel, Eglas Bakar Tikach B'yadecha. Take a little calf. You'll tell Shaul that you're bringing a carbon. He'll fall for the trick. That's in fact what Shmuel did. The Chovos HaLevavos says, wait a minute. Hashem should have blasted him. A chutzpah, you're afraid of Shaul, a king, flesh and blood? I am the creator of the heavens and the earth. Who gives life? And you tell me you're afraid of a king? But not only did Hashem blast Shmuel, Hashem said, you're right. Okay, here's the plan. Take this little eagle, take this little calf, and you'll tell Shaul that you bring a carbon. Explains the Chovos HaLevavos, why didn't Hashem blast Shmuel? Because what Shmuel did was right. There was a makam sakana, it was dangerous. And even a Novi Hashem, a prophet, when Hashem is speaking to him directly, has no right to violate the derech hateva, the way of nature, because in all activities a person has to go in the ways of the world, and once he's exhausted, once he's done as much as he can, then he can rely on the miracle, but not a minute before. And if you'd like to know the answer to both of these Gemaras, they're absolutely consistent. There's no contradiction. I have to know that the amount of money I am to make this year is set on Rosh Hashanah. Not a penny more, and not a penny less. But I still have my job to do. My job is to use the world in the ways of the world. If I'm sick, I go to a doctor. But not to a doctor. I go to the best medical practitioner I can find, and I get a second opinion and a third opinion. And once I've exhausted all of my efforts, then I say the words, Hashem, you run the world. Whether I live, whether I die, whether I'm healthy, whether I'm sick, it's up to you. I've done my part, now it's up to you. But both of these Gemaras are consistent. Hashem decrees exactly how much money I have to make, but I got to go out there and earn a living. And if I'm a merchant, I have to study the marketplace. I have to use my wisdom. I have to get up early in the morning and work very diligently, be very focused, because that's the ways of the world. That's a derech hateva. And all the while I'm going through the motions, I have to recognize that the motions don't determine the outcome. I'm commanded to do this. This is the way Hashem wants me to use the world, but it's not this effort that brings the result. Whatever the result is going to happen, but I still have to do my part. And this concept is very, very difficult to really get a grip on and really apply. And I have a mashal, a parable that I think makes it a little bit easier. Imagine the following. Imagine you had a Broadway play. And imagine at the end of the play, the two stars, two men, get into a fight. One punches, the other kicks, and they grab each other and grappling, and they're rolling on the floor. The curtain comes down, the play is over. Okay. 10 minutes after you go backstage, and you see the two actors, one slaps the other one on the back, says, whoa, you kicked tonight, it was great. Oh, and you punched it, really, you were great. What are you guys doing? Laughing, slapping each other. 10 minutes ago, you were on the floor, struggling, kicking each other. We weren't on the floor. That was a choreographed fight scene. We were going through the motions. I was supposed to punch, he was supposed to duck. And that's our Hishtadlut. I have to go out there, and to all intents and purposes, to everyone watching me, it looks like I'm the one who's determining it, and I have to know that what I do doesn't affect the outcome whatsoever. Exactly that which Hashem decreed will be, not an iota less, not an iota more, and I have to go out there and be very diligent, very focused, knowing that it will not make a difference in terms of what's going to happen. And this balance is something that we're challenged with throughout every activity, throughout the gamut of all of our life's issues. We have to be very focused on using the world the way Hashem wants us to, and we have to know that there's a creator of the heavens and earth who orchestrates everything.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.